The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Members of transport group Piston have kicked off their two-day strike in protest of the December 31 PUV consolidation deadline. Piston members have begun their march at the Quezon City Memorial Circle, carrying placards denouncing the phase-out of traditional jeepneys. They plan to meet with other members at the National Kidney Transplant Institute before marching toward the LTFRB Central Office. Piston is hopeful that its 100,000 members across the country will join them in their strike. In Novaliches, some drivers have also parked their jeepneys for the day to join the strike. However, there are still those who continue to ply their routes, saying they still need to make a living. At Philcoa, some jeepney drivers also chose to pick up passengers, but they say they only need to ply their route once, just so they can at least feed their families today. The same goes for some drivers at Monumento, who say they will only ferry passengers for a few hours before parking their jeepneys. Some drivers are also set to march to the LTFRB Central Office, where they will meet protesting members from Quezon City. The Quezon City local government will be providing free rides for commuters affected by the transport strike. The LGU says it will deploy buses along all routes, while the Quezon City Police will also offer free rides. The MMDA has said it is ready for the two-day strike of transport group Piston. MMDA Chairman Romando Artes expects the strike to have a minimal impact on public transportation in the metro. That's despite Piston saying that around 100,000 jeepney drivers and operators are expected to participate. Artes said they would deploy additional traffic enforcers and vehicles to ferry stranded passengers.
Siyempre, dahil nga ayaw namin i-take ito lightly, dahil nga po baka magkagulatan, maabala yung ating mga kababayan, kaya kami nagpiprepare. Although, yun nga, may konting abala ito on the part ng mga agencies ng pamahalaan na tumutugon dito sa strike, lalong-lalo na kami. Kasi instead na nagpo-focus kami sa traffic management, dahil nga pabigat ng pabigat yung daloy ng traffic.
Still on the transport sector, the DOTr has confirmed an increase in fares for the MRT3 next year. The Transportation Department says the fare increase is expected to be implemented within the first quarter of 2024. The agency noted that the fare hike will not be far from the implemented increase in the two lines of the LRT. The MRT3 management said the fare increase would match the adjustments in the fares implemented in LRT1 and LRT2, which was 2 pesos and 29 centavos in boarding fare and a 21 centavo increase per kilometer. Once the proposal is implemented, the minimum fare at the MRT3 would go up from 13 pesos to 16 pesos, while the fare from the rail line's end-to-end stations would increase from 28 pesos to 34 pesos. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. President Bongbong Marcos has ordered government agencies to intensify their efforts to address the effects of El Nino. That's after the Science and Technology Department warned that at least 65 provinces are expected to experience drought by May of next year. The president is calling for a coordinated implementation of all initiatives to mitigate the effects of El Nino. He also plans to reconstruct the composition of the El Nino Task Force that was formed in April. Marcos made this announcement on Wednesday at the inauguration of the Balbalungaw Small Reservoir Irrigation Project in Lupao, Nueva Ecija.
This is, I think, a more serious and a more extensive effort because we really have to get everybody involved to be able to prepare to make sure that we can minimize, alleviate, and adapt to climate change.
An expert is optimistic that renewable energy can achieve 50% of the country's energy mix by 2040. Philippine Business for Environmental Stewardship Secretary General Felix Jose Vitangcol shared this to the big story. Vitangcol notes, though, that despite their optimism, the country cannot abruptly shift to renewable energy, citing issues like infrastructure and policy issues that need to be addressed first. Vitangcol, meanwhile, welcomes the landmark deal struck by around 200 nations and are at the COP28 in Dubai to transition away from fossil fuels. He says, though, that this transition must take into consideration the economic conditions of countries like the Philippines.
Although there needs to be a equitable contribution between the Philippines and different economies contributing to the COP28, the leaders should take note of the capabilities of the different economies. So here in the Philippines, yes, we're pushing towards a more renewable energy-centric energy system, but currently the different factors contributing to it are not capable, or we're not sufficiently able to integrate renewable energy.
Let's now take a quick look at other stories we're watching. The MWSS has approved rate hikes of both Manila Water Company and Maynilad Water Services next year. Starting January, Maynilad is expected to have an average rate hike adjustment of 7 pesos and 87 centavos per cubic meter. Manila Water, meanwhile, will have an average rate increase of 6 pesos and 41 centavos per cubic meter. The Philippines has voted in favor of a UN General Assembly resolution demanding a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Philippine Permanent Representative to UN Ambassador Antonio Lagdameo says a humanitarian ceasefire is crucial to curb the loss of life in the fighting. And the low-pressure area has been spotted east of southeastern Mindanao. It may enter the Philippine territory this weekend, but the chance of it developing into a tropical cyclone remains slim. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 11:15 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.